proclame l'ouverture des Jeux olympiques de 1976, célébrant la 21e Olympiade de l'ère moderne. I declare open the Olympic Games of 1976, celebrating the 21st Olympiad of the modern era.
The trumpets come in and the games are on. Taking you back 50 years this week on the Elias Macko Show, looking back 50 years later at the 1976 Montreal Olympics. Now, a sporting event that left a lasting legacy on this city, on the province, and all of the country. Throughout the week, we're going to be revisiting unforgettable moments with guests who witnessed history firsthand and helped shape it. Our first guest played a key role behind the scenes. Richard Pound served as Secretary General of the Canadian Olympic Committee during the Montreal Games, would later become one of the most influential figures in international sport. It's our pleasure to welcome Dick Pound, longtime IOC member, onto the program. Mr. Pound, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good morning.
So how do you look back 50 years later on the 76 Games?
Well, with a certain amount of nostalgia, for sure, and also a degree of pride in how well the games unfolded, and the financial stuff was not our greatest moment, but the games themselves were just absolutely fantastic and well run by very capable people, and the athletes from around the world were able to perform under ideal conditions.
So I do want to get to financial failure in a bit, but I want to start off with the success here. What made those games successful, regardless of the financial aspects? Why do you think the games were a success overall?
I think because the facilities were remarkable in the first place, and secondly, the people running the games, in the sense of making them happen, were international experts from around the world, and many of whom came to Montreal and stayed here after the games.
And I'm sure we would have wanted more Canadian success on the podium, maybe a gold medal or two and that kind of stuff. But how do you view that? You go back, you think about those 2 weeks and what Montreal audiences saw. What do you think of?
Well, we saw, Nadia Comaneci. We saw Sugar Ray Leonard. We saw fantastic athletes from different continents performing brilliantly on the field of play. So all that is a lasting legacy that anybody who saw Nadia Comaneci get her tens will never forget that. And in fact, she's going to be here, I think, on August the 1st.
In fact, you're right. She's going to be part of the celebrations this year as we look back 50 years later. Let me ask you, was there pressure on you, the whole COC, the organizing committee, in the lead up to the games? What don't we know about that lead up? What should we know about those 76 games?
Well, I think basically the federal government came late to the party. They were kind of absent in large measure throughout the entire preparatory period. They basically did not provide any funding at all for the first 3 years, so that the 6 years that we had to get ready for the games shrank to 3 years, and that led to some of the cost overruns and the corruption that occurred within the construction industry. But that did not overshadow the games. Drapeau was an absolute. He could still be mayor
if he was still around. Yeah.
He got the largest share. The crowd was very positive with respect to Queen Elizabeth, and so it was a good feeling the whole way around. And we were the first games after Munich with the terrorist activities, and so the level of security was very high, but pretty invisible. In fact, it was all that was very well done between the Canadian forces and the Sûreté de Québec.
Let's talk about the finances here. When did you suspect things were getting off the rails here, that the Montreal Games were in trouble, at least financially?
Pretty early. The only federal assistance that came our way was the Olympic lottery. And if we'd kept the Olympic lottery in action for 3 or 4 years, there would have been no debt. It was immensely successful. But it certainly, the construction was lagging, and to the point where finally the Bourassa government said, "All right, step aside, Montreal. You're not managing this well enough. We will make sure that everything is ready on time." And they did, and we're kind of lucky that the rules of soccer in those days required an open stadium. So the fact that we didn't have the roof on the Big O was actually an advantage.
Well, listen, considering the fact that the roof was only finished, what was it, 11, 13 years after the games, I guess it wouldn't have happened anyways. Let me ask you if you think history has judged the Montreal Games fairly. Do you think there's been a fair assessment over the years of the 76 games?
Well, I think on the level of sport and the organization of the events and so on, for years, whenever I traveled, people would say, your games were absolutely fantastic. On the financial level, Drapeau was an inspired leader and a visionary, but he didn't know how to run a massive construction project with new buildings to be built, metro lines to be extended, and all that sort of stuff. And that was unfortunate. He didn't have the right management there, and he kept all of the Olympic folks, like the Canadian Olympic Association at the time, completely out of the picture. It was his show, and there was no discussion beyond that.
If Montreal was bidding for another Olympics today, whether it's a Winter Olympics or a Summer Olympics, let's say we had the appetite, we wanted a Games once again, what are the lessons that you'd want organizers of the next Olympic Games in Montreal, if it ever happens, to remember?
Well, one of the lessons that the entire Olympic movement got from Montreal is you have to have two budgets. You have an Olympic budget, that in other words, what it takes to put on the games, and you also need an infrastructure budget. And he put them all together so that the media and probably the population at large got to believe that the games cost $3 billion, and they didn't. It was much less than that, but the packaging of it was and the marketing of it was inept.
Mr. Pound, to wrap up here, is there a story from those games that maybe you've never told, maybe you've only told it a few times, something that brings a smile to your face to this day?
Well, one of my favorite things was the opening ceremony. And it was the first time I'd actually been in the Olympic Stadium. I kind of deliberately stayed away from it because it was a construction site up until very close to the games. But the music in Montreal, it was the best opening and closing ceremonies music of all of the games that I've been to. And that's a memory that anyone who was there will never forget.
Thanks for reminiscing with us today and kicking off our Olympics week as we look back on 50 years after the games. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Dick Pound, longtime International Olympic Committee member and an integral part of the 76 games.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the